Hey! Paran Lama Rinpoche, Jagi Jiwo Peden Jola, Karin Jimbe Kane Jizunte, Kazunta Jinga Drip Sound. So, very joyful to be here, and sun is out, lilies are out on the pond there, ducks are sunbathing on the path, and let's enjoy this lovely weekend. You know, in Tibet they would say, there's an expression like half of the Dharma is Dharma is the teachings of Buddha. So half of the Dharma is accomplished by leaving your homeland. So just by being in a different place from where you normally are, you're changing your habits, because you're literally a different perspective. So even you could come here and go home feeling, hey, I like this inclusivity idea. I'm going to come in from the cold and treat myself with more respect and compassion than I did before. Then, even just something like that is reinforced by coming somewhere different. So here we are on this kind of little weekend retreat, and it's summertime, so it's easier in summer. So this session, I thought, this evening there's maybe an opportunity to go to the Chenrezig prayers. Who's thinking of going to the Chenrezig this evening? So it's very powerful, can be, and it's only about 40 minutes. And I could explain that a little bit if people would want me to, but only if that is there. But while you're here, it's one of the only spots in the UK where they're doing these prayers, and especially if you know anybody who's in any distress, mentally, physically, emotionally, then it's a way of thinking of them, and it's also a way of recharging your energy. So I think some of us went last weekend, and it was very powerful, very good. And then we could do a lying down. I'll lead a lying down Tibetan style body scan, and then soup time. So hard life. But maybe I might go over the 5:30 limit here, if that's okay with you, and then no session this evening, except if you want to go to the Chenrezig. So. So somebody just asked me, where does Vipassana fit in with this? So do you know the term Vipassana? Maybe not. But there's 6 paramitas: generosity, ethics, inclusivity, joyous energy, mental stability, and prajna, wisdom. 6. So all of the systems of meditation on the planet, whether they're Christian, Hindu, Jain, Buddhist, they all share that you have 2 things, say different languages, but like shamatha and vipassana, or in Tibetan, shinei and laktong. So shinei is literally calm abiding. Calm, C-A-L-M, calm abiding. And laktong is literally seeing more, like insight. Or sometimes they say the end is inner sight. Inner sight. So So like calm abiding is like putting the camera on a tripod, yeah? Calm abiding, so that at least you can have a moment of peace. Peacefulness, not to be underestimated. Everything is good. I'm not saying, modern mindfulness is bad. Completely not. I've even, I'm honorary lecturer in mindfulness at Aberdeen University. So, I'm not plaguing mindfulness. But I'm saying but there's even more available if you take it deeper. But Shine and Laktong, every meditation, Christian, Buddhist, Jain, Hindu, you have two main areas of meditation. You have learning how to calm the mind, so that no matter what you get into, that you can sit down and do a 3-minute breathing space, yeah? So that's a sign of accomplishment, that no matter what happens, you can bring mindfulness to it, and you can be peaceful with whatever arises. So that's already a great skill. Shine, I think Sanskrit is shamatha, but let's not confused. I'll stay with the Tibetan terms. Shine means how to rest in peacefulness. So you could meditate on the breath. You could do walking meditation. So these are Shine meditations that we've done. But body like the mountain, breath like the wind, awareness like the sky, that is more like vipassana. That is more like laktong. So watching thoughts and having the insight that they're just like clouds is insight. You see that what's going on in your mind is changing all of the time, and it's no big deal. That's the insight. It's no big deal. But and you have the insight that the emotions as well, like maybe we should record this. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know. No, we're not prepared. We'll do this tomorrow. But the thing is, the shelf life of an emotion is roughly about an hour maximum. That's a little bit of a supermarket term, but you see what I'm getting at? So whether it's modern neuroscience or whether it's the Abhidharma, which is a very comprehensive book on Buddhist philosophy from over 1,000 years ago, they agree that the shelf life of an emotion is less than an hour. But if you take it personally, it's 20 years. This is actually, we should record this somewhere, but tomorrow, mañana. But for now, it's like an informal session at the end of the afternoon. I think this is really news we can use. So these emotions, supposing you're feeling guilty, and then you're worried about feeling guilty, and then you're determined to hide from others that you're worried about feeling the guilt. So you get entangled. They call it entanglement. So your sense of who you are becomes very confused and emotional. And yet the wonderful thing is that the shelf life of an emotion is less than an hour. So the whole skill is to, if you leave your emotion alone, your emotion will leave you alone. So the whole thing is not to take it too personally. And this is the brilliance of it, is to see every emotion as data, raw data. So so of course emotions is linked to the word to move, to be moved. Emotere in Latin, to be moved, to move, literally. So emotions lead to actions, like supposing say you have a teenage daughter and you have a row with her, and I don't know. where I get these examples from sometimes. But that one was going in a very strange direction. You know. What I'm trying to get at is emotions are data, you know, D-A-T-A. So if I have an emotion like, say, I'm walking around in a big coat like it's the middle of winter, and everyone else is in a t-shirt and I'm in a scarf, looking like Rupert Bear, then I could take it personally and think, oh, you know, my persona as a teacher, what is happening to me? You know, I need a style consultant or something. But you see, that's overreacting, I think. But the emotion is making me self-aware that, you know, maybe, you know, it's okay, you know, maybe to go easy with the scarf. So then I change my behaviour and sorted, in the terms of like East Ender language, sorted. It's done. The emotion has sent you a message, and you've listened to the message, you've acted on the message, and then you can let it go. So that you're not keeping it past its sell-by date. But if the emotion is helpful or harmful, that's the distinguishing feature. So if it's a harm, like if I'm getting angry about something, I don't like just putting myself in all of these funny prisons. But what I'm trying to get at is emotions are data, and if you listen to them and deal with them if they need dealing with, and then let them go, that's how you go through life. And then you're not going to capsize your yacht going through life by having too much excess baggage, excess emotional baggage, you know, like in the song, when you go to the airport, check in your emotional baggage, or whatever. But keep it simple, Clive, keep it simple. It's the emotions are like data, and they're messages, and they're messages to act. But if you don't need to act, then you can leave them alone, and then they'll leave you alone. But the problem is we get entangled in, especially suppressed or repressed. Who reckons they suppress an emotion now and again? I think there's more of you than putting your hands up. So, our emotions are like data, and we can listen to them, and then they're like messages. And if they need acting on, we act on them. But the problem is, like evolution, an amoeba, is like a unicellular life form. If you put it on a petri dish with acid at one end and sugar at the other, and the other two sides of the petri dish with nothing, you put the amoeba in the middle and it will head towards the sugar and avoid the acid, okay? So we're no different in one sense. In Buddhist language, they're called Vedanas. So that you have this feeling of like, dislike, or indifference. Like, dislike, or indifference. And this is the key. So if you have an emotion like happiness, you think, I like it, I want more of it, yeah? I want more of it, I want more of this. And then maybe you feel a little bit of fear, and then you think, I don't want this emotion. Or maybe there's another thing and you feel indifferent towards it. And what happens is your inner life becomes dominated by all of the emotions that you like, and you're like pushing away all of the emotions you don't like into a black plastic bin liner in your mind. So they're all potentially, if they're not dealt with, they're waiting to explode a little bit because we cling on to the things we like and try to not look at the things we don't like. Whereas the whole deal is to be inclusive towards all of the emotions. Welcome everything. Every emotion's got something to teach you if you're humble enough to realize it. So instead of this ancient habit, like an amoeba, of rounding up all of the unpleasant things and never dealing with them, the idea is just deal with everything, and then you have no excess baggage. So just the meditation is face the situation. Self-compassion is just turn around and face yourself. Do you see what I'm trying to get at? Or is it too mystical? But it's like so this is like entanglement. This term, entanglement, is we're tied up in knots because we're trying so hard to avoid all of the unpleasant emotions. But we just make them stronger because we're trying to resist them. So the more we resist them, the more powerful they are. So then they'll start coming into our dreams. We'll start our subconscious mind. Because meditation is making the subconscious conscious. So it's like every day you get different emotions, deal with them, then you don't have to have any of these mental troubles like of entanglement. So if you feel sad, rather than suppressing the sadness, cry. So that meditation isn't like trying to create... All human suffering arises out of our egocentric wish to create a perfect environment. And the more the more we are clever, the more we suffer. The more neurotic we can become. We can become professional neurotics. Because we're always trying to make it perfect. Rather than being inclusive and accept human imperfection, we're endlessly being cleverer, trying to avoid sadness. So avoiding sadness can be depression. Yeah? Depress. You're trying to push down sadness, depress it. And then you create like a health problem. So the brain, like change, is like an aphrodisiac for the brain. So if we can just go with impermanence, we're okay. But trying to make permanent happiness and permanent avoidance of unhappiness is where all the trouble comes. So vipassana is like insight into that, like emotions are just data. They're not more than that, unless we take them too personally, and then they become a habit. So we identify with them, and then we become entangled, like in a knot of snakes. And then, so if we have the habit of depressing sadness, if something else comes along to make us sad, it just fits in with our views. So it's like the tip of an iceberg. So it's like a trigger. It triggers all of the same reaction patterns. So you might feel, well, I've got all of these things going, but not only am I depressed, but I'm not good enough to process the depression. So there's all kinds of issues arise just because we don't have the courage to face every day as it comes. So the one who practices the paramitas is called a bodhisattva. Bodhi literally means the awakened state of mind here, and sattva is like the Native American term for a brave. You know, like in the old movies, you'd have a Native American Indian would be called a brave. So sattva is a brave, a warrior. So it's a warrior who's not afraid to walk the walk of the bodhi, the awakened state of mind. So here, what it means is you process each day as every day, but not trying to sift everything into like, dislike, and avoid and ignore. So in Buddhist psychology, this like, dislike, and ignore is the source of all of the samsara and all of dukkha. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So all it is courage to face the situation, what your body's telling you, what your emotions, what other people are telling you, if you listen. So bodhisattva, someone who has the courage to walk the awakened state of mind life. So you're awake and maybe it's hideously embarrassing, you say you know the exercise snack, but then you've just eaten a huge piece of cheesecake out the fridge. Being wise after the event, then you could go into all self-criticism again. But instead, you could just be forgiving and establish a good relationship with yourself, whereby, this isn't easy because of evolution with, things about addiction, food, alcohol, drugs. All of these things, they're very difficult to deal with. But you're establishing a good relationship with yourself and a healthy relationship with your emotions. So the paramitas, each one of them is actually, like I said, a way of dealing with a harmful emotion. So generosity is like the antidote to miserliness, and ethics is the antidote to having a guilty conscience, and all-inclusive tolerance is the antidote to anger, because there's nobody to be angry with on an ultimate level. And then the energy is the antidote to laziness, because you need to make the effort to practice every day. I mean, who practices every day here? Could you put your hand up, please? Who meditates every day?
Meditation.
Pardon?
You mean practice meditation?
Sorry?
Do you mean practicing meditation?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Yeah. So I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, but it's like, who cleans their teeth every day? So we have teeth 10, mind 0, okay? So we've got to the root of the whole thing. Finally, after a whole day of teaching, what do you value most, your teeth or your mind? Oh, my teeth. What would happen if you didn't clean your teeth every day? They'd fall out, wouldn't they? Or you'd lose them. If you don't clean your mind is like a mirror. If you don't clean the mirror of your mind, it accumulates so much dust that the world looks like a dusty place, because you haven't polished the mirror of your mind. So cleaning your teeth every day and cleaning your mind every day, meditation, just watching your breath, you are cleaning your mind. You're purifying your mind. Sorry, that's a bit brutal, isn't it? I mean, sort of, forgive me. But we don't want to do it, especially if we have to face difficult emotions. And that's why we don't do it every day, I think. Subconsciously, we fear to go inside. So we have to have the courage to go beyond that fear, and even just doing half an hour a day, huge benefits after 2 months. If you do half an hour a day, that's 5% of your day. So the challenge is just to find half an hour, even if it's 3 10-minute sessions, to just come back to zero with fresh intelligence. I love that expression, Just drop all of the dramas and just come back to zero with fresh intelligence. Come back to zero, like the breath, with fresh intelligence. And that's like cleaning your mind, is like cleaning your teeth with a toothbrush. It's just drop all the complexity. But I'm trying to find non-threatening examples. I mean, sometimes I think I might be pushing somebody's buttons if I go a bit deeper, you see. So I'm using, maybe, sure, I got all the, everything. I'm not saying I'm a saint, but I'm not clairvoyant. I don't know everybody in this room. So if I bring up another example that isn't food, it might be something very central to their life or to somebody who is very close to them. On one course there was a woman who had maybe spent 10 years in relationships with different alcoholics, and they'd all been troublesome. And what she found out with insight, vipassana in meditation, was like her father was an alcoholic and died when she was a little girl, and she was creating with the relationships in her adult life, she was trying to rescue her father. Do you see? So that's a really big issue, isn't it? And she had a really big insight. But see, so if I go deeper than food, even into something like alcohol, it can be pushing somebody's buttons or opening up a wound. So that's why the cheesecake and the carrot cake and things is keeping the principle is the same. That she kept on going because she was desperate to save her father. She never stopped. But once she stopped, she saw that she was getting, involved, entangled with all of these different people. And it wasn't because she was in love with them, but she was trying to change her childhood in a way. So human beings are quite strange, aren't they? So we can be reliving things from the past. But if we can just face what is happening, the clues are always there. If she had stopped at any time in that 10 years, she could have really seen, stop, even snack, stop, notice, accept, be curious about why am I always in failed relationships, and then be kind to herself, like just have a partner who's just a really normal kind of guy, see what happens. So it's just this habit we have of never stopping. We never look at ourselves. It's like we never look in the mirror. I think the thing is we can't change the past, but we can change our interpretation of the past. We can't change the past, but in fact the past is a simulation anyway. So this Prajna Paramita is we have total flexibility about how we see everything. So the Six Paramita is saying it's never too late to have a happy childhood, because you can re-envision what happened and you can interpret it in a different way. Especially if you believe in reincarnation, that everything happened for a reason.